Okay, so what if I told you that aiming for a goal that's 10 times bigger is actually easier than just trying to double your progress? I know, it sounds completely backward. It's a pretty radical idea from Dr. Benjamin Hardy. But you gotta stick with me here, because the logic behind this could totally flip how you think about success.
This quote just nails it. It perfectly sets the stage for what we're talking about. A 10x journey. It isn't just about getting a little bit better. It's about a complete and total transformation. It means you have to let go of who you are right now, which, yeah, can feel like the end of the world, to become something entirely new. It's all about seeing that butterfly, even when all you can see is the end of the caterpillar.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're on that hamster wheel, just grinding away, putting in more hours, more sweat, all to move the needle just a tiny, tiny bit. It's exhausting, it's demoralizing, and honestly, it's a super fast track to burnout. That exact feeling is the problem we're going to dismantle today.
So first things first, we got to identify the enemy here. And Dr. Hardy has a name for it, the 2X mindset. And trust me, it's a really deceptive trap. Think about it. When you're just aiming for 2X, or maybe just 10% better, you're playing the same game as everyone else, by the same rules. It just becomes this brute force battle of who can work a little bit harder, a little bit smarter. That path is so crowded, so exhausting, and the ceiling on it is incredibly low. So if 2X is the trap, what's the escape hatch? Well, it's this surprisingly simple idea of going 10X.
All right, here's the fundamental difference. 2X thinking is all about looking in the rearview mirror. It takes what you've done before and just tries to stretch it out a little further. It's linear. But 10X thinking, that's all about the future. It forces you to make these huge, non-linear jumps and come up with a totally new approach. You stop competing with everyone else, and you start creating a whole new game.
And here's the magic of why this actually works. When you set a goal that feels completely impossible, all your old assumptions just shatter. You realize, hey, I can't just work harder to get there. That won't cut it. Instead, you're forced to ask a much, much better question. What would have to be true for this to be possible? And that question unlocks a level of innovation you would never even dream of on the 2X path.
Let me give you an incredible example from history. Imagine being Michelangelo, just 17 years old, and you want to sculpt a life-sized Hercules. The 2X path was obvious, right? Just practice sculpting more. But he knew that wouldn't get him to the level of masterpiece he had in his head. So he took a 10X path, and it was insane. He secretly dissected human corpses, which was a crime punishable by death, just so he could understand anatomy in a way no artist ever had. Now that is a 10X jump.
So this all sounds great, but how do you actually do it? How do you make that 10x jump? Well, it starts with a simple but truly radical act, letting go of 80% of what you're doing right now.
Just think about your focus, your day, your work. I bet a huge chunk of it, probably around 80%, is spent on stuff that's comfortable, but has a really low impact. The real magic, the actual 10x growth, is hiding in that other 20%. And the only way to get to it is to be ruthless about eliminating that 80% to make space for what really, truly matters. Let's look at a real-world business case. This guy, Carson Holmquist of Stream Logistics. He looked at his books and had a shocking realization. 95% of his clients were only bringing in 15% of his profits. Meanwhile, this tiny 5% of high-stakes clients were responsible for 85% of the profits. So he made a call that would terrify most people. He fired 95% of his customers. The result? His profitability quadrupled. This right here, this is basically the mantra for the whole 10x journey. It's a tough pill to swallow, but the identity, the strategies, the skills that made you successful up to this point are now your biggest roadblocks. You have to be willing to shed that old skin to grow a new one.
But look, I get it. Letting go of 80% of what you do sounds terrifying. The secret isn't to ask, how can I do all this? It's to shift your question to, who can do this for me? It's time to find your who.
And Linda McKissick's story is just a masterclass in this. She was a real estate agent, and at first, her 80% was all the paperwork. So she hired an assistant, and boom, her revenue doubled. Well then, working with buyers became her new 80%, so what did she do? She hired a buyer's agent, and her business grew again. You see, at every single stage, she identified her lowest value tasks and found a who to take them over, which freed her up to focus on the next level of growth. You see the pattern here, right? This isn't some one-time trick. It's a repeatable engine for growth. At every level, you identify your new 80%, you find the who to handle it, and then you get to elevate your focus to your new, more powerful 20%.
And that is how you create these continuous 10x jumps.
Okay, this brings us to what might be the most important piece of the entire puzzle. It's the deep psychological shift you have to make for any of this to actually work. You have to learn to operate from a place of want, not need. So let's break this down. On one side, you've got the needer. A needer is always operating from a place of scarcity and competition, like there's not enough to go around. They feel like they have to justify their goals to everyone. But then you have the wanter. They operate from abundance, from creation. They don't need to explain their desires to anyone. They go after goals simply because they want to, not because they feel they have to.
And honestly, going to Mars is the perfect example. Does humanity need to go to Mars? Probably not. But some people deeply, intrinsically want to. Real 10x goals are born from that kind of want. Their vision's so big and so compelling that they just pull you forward. That desire is the fuel for a 10x jump.
All right, we've talked philosophy, we've talked strategy, we've talked mindset, but now it gets real. Now it's time to talk about your 10x jump.
Because really, the whole point of this isn't just to learn some cool concepts. It's about actually doing something with it. So let's start digging in and make this personal for your own life and your own work.
And I want you to be brutally honest here. What are the tasks, the clients, the meetings, the habits, heck, even the mindsets that are just eating up your time but giving you almost nothing in return? What's that comfortable little box you've built for yourself that's actually a cage? This is the baggage you have to be willing to drop.
Okay, now let's flip that question on its head. Where's your highest point of contribution? What is that one area where if you went all in, it would be a total game changer? Yeah, it should scare you a little bit because it's going to demand a bigger version of you. But it should also excite you like crazy. That's your 20%.
And finally, the big one. Let's put it all together. Forget about incremental improvements. Forget about 2x. What is that one goal that's so big, so audacious, that if you actually pulled it off, it wouldn't just improve your life, it would completely transform it? Don't even ask if it's possible yet. Just ask yourself, what is the want that, if you achieved it, would turn you into a butterfly?